What's up YouTube, it's your boy Infinite Gains, and we're going over a weekly update video, going over GME, AMC, costs. We have a list of other stocks up here: DJT, Wolf, Lucid, Tesla, Bitcoin, XRP, and Holo. So we got a lot of stuff to cover in this video, so freaking lock in, boys. Alright, so from our previous videos, we had this pump, pulled back into support again, made a we barely did it, but we made a higher low. So this entire time, that is all we've been doing once that daily 200 SMA has been broken. I mean, just over and over and over and over again. You do not want to break this structure, right? You want this, and you want the integrity of that structure to hold by, making those higher lows. Right, since May move, we have done that. So we want to be able to withhold that integrity, and you gotta have to think this was the Japan carry trade move. Whenever we go look at the S&P 500, that was that huge dip in that pre-market session. That actually, if you turn on extended hours, if you go to your chart, the session, put on extended hours, we actually did hit the daily 200 SMA in extended hours. You had this huge drop that was off that dilution news. So, we have kind of two major, bearish, points in price history in which we still maintained higher lows. Even through this dilution news, you still managed to make a higher low. So we want that integrity to kind of hold within price structure. So right now, what happened? We hit that 2450 that we spoke about over and over and over and over again. We spoke about that 2450 because that is essentially the setup that we had pre-May, is where you're battling this point of control. And you're just battling that point of control until you can finally break it. So you had a bunch of bears step in with volume. We did see a spike in volume. Literally our volume profile was showing us, hey, we have a large concentrated, our point of control with volume. We had a volume spike at 2450 and got a rejection. So 2450 has to be cleared. Now, what can happen if we clear that 2450 is that we can go start trying to hit that value area high, which on the 4 hour is $31.90, on the daily is around $34. So in that $32 to $34 range can happen if we break this 2450. So this is actually, to me, bullish because we're coming down, we come up, test the point of control, get a rejection, come back up, get a rejection, come back up, get a rejection. And it's kind of like this wall that we're hitting, and we're kind of shaving off orders every time that we hit that wall. And so eventually it'll break. It's a very bullish thing to just keep on retesting that level. Then once it really breaks, it'll give us that momentum to the upside to hit that 31.90, that value area high on our 4 hour chart. So short-term price action, we're stuck in this channel, which is perfectly fine. So right now resistance is at within this zone, this previous local top that we broke, right? So what happened is price came up, hit that 2450 mark that we spoke about, but it you saw those orders come in because we took this recent high. Price came up, hit those orders right above this recent high, got a rejection, got slammed down into this retracement. Now, what do we want to see out of this retracement? You want to see a higher low that we have had this trend since May of making higher lows. So that's what you want to see, is that, yeah, we got a rejection at 2450, but we were kind of expecting that. We weren't kind of expecting that to break all in one go. So we have this retracement off that 2450 to the downside, but we should still maintain the higher low. So even if we come down off of this move, we can find support at 2176. So we have support at 2176. We have support at 2093 and support all the way back down at that 2056. So you have a lot of support levels off of this pretty big move. It was an over 10% move. If we take on our little measurement tool and measure how big the move was, that's a 20% move. That's a 20% move, guys. You know, when people are talking about, you know, going, I mean, literally, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything, but I mean, dead ass people talking about $15, bro, and like talking about, you know, $17 right here before a 20% move. Like, I don't know, man. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird that like right here people are like, it's all over. It's all over. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is kind of weird about the timing of that shit. Anyways, so we want to maintain this higher low status. And yeah, I mean, going into next week, it's going to be crazy, obviously, because we have the election. What is that? November 5th. So we have that election on November 5th. So, you know, markets are going to react. I mean, it's just a fact of the matter. And whenever you have something big going on, I mean, S&P 500, like, I mean, bonds, like, everything's going to react. So, you know, next week is going to be pretty freaking crazy. Probably a lot of volatility, to be honest with you. And, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, right? Because, man, you know, kind of SPY's at a pivotal moment here that we kind of have to look at. But we do want to maintain that higher low. So we don't want to break this low that we put in. Like, we don't want to come down and you know, worst case you would retest this liquidity zone, right below these lows. But I mean, personally, it's like you have a lot of support levels before that. You know, I would be targeting that 2170, you know, possibly back to the upside. So our goal is to break that 2450 that we spoke about, because we've just been battling it. And I think price action will get a lot more volatile above that level. And so we can kind of mark another resistance zone. We'll just put a horizontal line at that. We'll say 3190 for now. It's around 32. Actually, let's just make a rectangle on our charts. We'll pull out a rectangle and we'll start the rectangle at 3190. So 3190, and we'll put it up to $34. All right, so this is our second resistance zone, which is also the resistance of our channels on our macro chart. If we go to, actually, we'll just show that later. Okay, let's go to our weekly. So this is our resistance on our macro channels, right? This purple line is going to be resistance on your macro channels. So like we zoom back in and we see that our resistance at value area high on the 4 hour to our daily value area high is around 32 to $34. So our goal is to break 2450, then break $34. And for me, it's really that fucking simple. It's really that fucking simple. And secondly, you want to maintain the structure of the higher lows that you've been putting in consecutively that we've been speaking about. And so you do have support at 2170, resistance at 2240, 2366, 2450, and then at $34. All right. AMC, let's hop into this. Obviously, we're tracking our macro channels, and this macro downtrend. All right, just so y'all can see, zoomed out. So let's zoom in on price action here. All right, so we hit resistance we do have resistance at 451. Now, breaking through 451 can allow us to try to start getting up into this 480, 474 to 480 resistance zone. That's going to be our next resistance, and then you're going to have on the 4-hour chart, resistance at $5. I mean, that's pretty obvious. $5 is just a major psychological level. You're just going to find resistance there. But that's also going to be a very good opportunity for bulls to step in at $5 and kind of show, interest in the stock again. Because, I mean, above $5, things can get crazy. Things can get fucking crazy, but $5. And then I don't forget about that deal with Adam Aaron with, I think it's something about $400 million in debt, kind of converted into shares, I think at the stock price of $5.66. So that's definitely not a bad thing. And I think we have AMC earnings coming up. I'm not exactly sure when that is. I kind of forget, but might even be next week if I'm not mistaken. But we do have earnings coming up here, so that'll be interesting as well. So things to keep an eye on is we do want to break this 450 area on AMC. Then your next major resistance will be $5, and then ultimately up here at the midline of this channel, that was original resistance this entire time that slammed us. We got resistance at the midline of this channel. Boom, got a rejection, downtrend into the bottom of the channel where we eventually bounced. So our goal is to break this midline at whatever time it is that we're able to make it there. Essentially, what it'll look like this: you break $5, you start heading to the midline of this channel, at $6.70 or something around $6-7. Once the midline of this channel is broken, your next point is to hit this downtrend. This is the 3-year long downtrend from here. And then once this downtrend's broken, you're going to the fucking moon. So our goal is to break $5, high $6 to $7, and then break this downtrend here. And then you're going to the fucking moon. All right, so we have GME and AMC levels out there. Let's look at costs very briefly. We will look at costs. It's literally just been bouncing around like this. Actually, you maybe even make a pennant out of this thing. Now that I'm looking at it, maybe you can make some kind of pennant pattern here. So that's kind of interesting. Take this magnet tool off. It's annoying me. Yeah, so that's actually kind of interesting here that we do, or we're making some kind of pennant. So yeah, we got resistance at this fib zone, or fib level, I should say. Got resistance at this fib level, so we have a resistance zone at that 846. We did find support, maybe on this trend line. You do have support again, all the way down to 670 and also 660. So 670 and 660 are support levels still. So resistance is obviously going to be this local high at 847. Then you have your 4-hour point of control at 927, and then you're going to have resistance at 1132. So that's resistance levels for costs. Honestly, cost isn't looking too bad, and now that I'm looking at it, you are like in this kind of pennant pattern here. So if we do get a breakout above, that 770 mark ish, and then you're able to break your point of control at that 927, things are looking pretty good for costs. And that's also a good sign for AMC and GME, because we all know that they are correlated. So that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and so we've covered all those three, the main kind of meme stocks. Let's look at DJT, right? We fucking printed, boys. We fucking printed off this shit. I was sharing this in the Discord. I was like, this was kind of like the easiest fucking short of my fucking life. I mean, this candle was fucking crazy. Like, it was a huge drop, and I was like, holy shit. And it happened within like 15 minutes. We had like a huge drop like intraday on DJT within like fucking 15 minutes. Shit was insane. So we reprinted off that shit for sure. Now, should we be looking for longs? Look, I'm gonna be real with you. I will try to show you a setup for a long, I'll just show you a bull and bear case, because next week is gonna be freaking crazy. You have the election, and you're trading a stock that is called Trump Media and Technology Group. And we have the election next week. if you want to try and burn your money on fire or make a shit ton of money, look, that not financial advice. My actual, actually, I will give some advice. Is that you should be extremely fucking cautious trading this stock going into next week, because you'll probably see a shit ton of volatility. Now, that's an opportunity to make a shit ton of money, but you could also lose a shit ton of money. So going into next week, it's kind of like gambling. It's kind of like gambling, to be honest with you, because they can do some tricky shit. Because let's say Trump wins. They may obliterate this shit and then pump it. Or they may just straight up pump it from there. So, you don't know. This shit will be purely manipulated next week. Guaranteed. And then they'll say, oh, he fucking loses. They're probably going to dump the living shit out of it. So, I don't know. This stock is kind of... I would just get out. I would just wait it out, because there's other opportunities. If you're just trying to gamble on it or some shit, which I might even do. Hey, not financial advice. But I may throw, a little bit into it just for fun. But that's all it is. It's just for fun. If you're looking for a legitimate setup trade in going into next week, I don't know. You do have support at 29.57, which is your 4-hour point of control. You have support all the way down to 25.80. Next support will be all the way down to 20.65. So this shit could get brutal. If you start breaking out of this channel, you break your support at that 21.70 mark, you're probably diving into this zone down to the 24s, 25s. And this may be able to act as support enough. But hey, let's just try to take a simple retrace here, honestly, just to give us some kind of idea. Maybe, I don't know. This is kind of brutal, man. I don't know. This looks like a dangerous setup, bro. This just looks like a dangerous setup to kind of try to get in the way of this. Now, you have support, again, as I said, at that 21.60, all the way down to $27, and then honestly, you have this 0.786 retracement at 20.92. So that could be a possible reversion point if we get down that low. And that may seem crazy. To be that fucking bearish on it. But they're gonna manipulate the living shit out of this stock next week, and you're probably gonna see volatility. I think I saw implied volatility at 400% or something batshit crazy. I think someone posted that on Twitter that I saw. So I don't know, man. This thing could go to the moon. It could also dump. So they're probably gonna this shit's gonna be manipulated, dog. It's just a fact. It's just a fucking fact. So again, you have support at this level. You come down here. This could act as a level all the way down to $25, and then you have 20.92. So hey, not financial advice, but if you want to be ballsy enough, to do some shit like that, and then you also have that 0.618 retracement at 28.10. So yeah, you do you, bro. I'm not gonna say shit about this stock, because I'm gonna have a little fun with it. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna have a little fun next week with some play money. I'm not gonna put any. Do not put real money into this stock next week. That's all I'm saying. Is that don't put real portfolio money. I'm just gonna be playing around. I'm just gonna be put some money in there, playing around with some call options. F it is essentially my mindset. So you could be looking for a reversal point at that $29, 28.10, all the way down to 25. 25 is broken, all the way down to 20.92. All right. So we got that out of the way with DJT. Cool. This other stock called Wolf. Some people were talking about it in my Discord. Let's take a look at it. We did find support. At that 13.22. Now, glaringly, we have a gap right here in price. Typically, gaps are filled. It's an imbalance in price action. So price normally fills that. But, honestly, I was going back in the history of this stock, and it kind of creates lots of gaps. Just for example, this one in recent price history, we created a gap. We created a gap in price right here. So we have this gap. Price never filled that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? We dumped, we came up, and I guarantee you people were targeting that gap right here. People were targeting that gap. You actually gap down again, price comes up, doesn't even fill the gap, heads down again, and then doesn't fill that gap till way later. So, okay, that's a little sus. All right, we'll take that off the chart. Anyways, so this gap never even got filled. This shit, I mean, it didn't even get filled. And like, so, and this happens kind of a lot throughout price history here. So, you know, these gaps aren't really that reliable to us, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. So something like this could play out because we do have this bullish ABCD harmonic here. Very simple setup here. And then you could also draw another bullish harmonic that does take us into that gap fill, starting at this pivot point. Let's turn on this. So you'd actually start it from that pivot point, take it to here, maybe target. Okay, that's actually a nice 0.618 retracement level there. And then you do have that 2.24-ish extension there. So that could kind of make sense as, you know, kind of a bullish harmonic into the gap fill, which would be at our support at 1180 all the way to 1155. So I could see something like, I could actually see something like this playing out with Wolf, because this is a pretty large gap in price. I mean, it's just kind of blatantly obvious. Do we have to fill it? No, we don't have to. We're actually at support right now, but I could see something like this happening with Wolf, where, you know, you do get resistance at that 460, but maybe come back down into the gap, and then you might even overshoot the gap a little bit and then be able to come back up in price. So I could see something like this playing out with Wolf. You know, short-term bullish price action. You know, basically for this kind of bearish downside to happen, you would have to break that 1319 zone. But kind of the problem right now is you're seeing some bullish support in this area, right? You're seeing these wicks on the bottom right here. And this is a 4-hour chart. And so price dumps, wicks up, price dumps, wicks up, price dumps, wicks up, price dumps and wicks up 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 4 times at support. So this chart isn't even necessarily bearish, right? So, I mean, you don't even have to fill the gap, right? I mean, we could just target initially our harmonic here. So this isn't even necessarily a bearish chart unless we do break that 1320 zone, right? So if you do on the 4-hour chart break that 1320 zone, then yeah, you could come dip into the gap fill, and then you would have support at that 1218 to 1180. So for now, I won't even. Here's what I would do actually. Here's what I would do on Wolf. Is that you have support right here. So I'm gonna go fucking long. If we get a rejection here, okay, I'm gonna cut my long. If we get a rejection at 1460 to 1450. If we get a rejection here, okay, I'll cut my shit and maybe even target this gap fill. If from here on the 4-hour chart 1320 breaks, okay, then I'm just gonna target gap fill, right? So I hope that's kind of clear on that point, is that for now, this chart is actually fucking bullish. So we shouldn't even be targeting gap fill unless we come up and get a rejection here at 1450 to 1460, or all of these wicks on the 4-hour chart are just broken, coming down to that $13 level, $13.20 to $13 level. So if you see $13 to $13.20 level broken, then yes, chances are that you will just see a continuation down into the gap, right? And then you would have support at the bottom of this support level at 1176. If that breaks, okay, then shit could get pretty brutal above that level, and then I'll have to make another update video. But for now, this chart's actually fucking bullish. Because, I mean, you found support. You found support. And shit, like, stuff like that can happen because a lot of people are, like, just targeting that gap. And that's literally what happens, is that people get trapped in that short, and then you start pumping the fuck out of it. Because, I mean, gap trading is, like, the most obvious shit of all time. And just one example, in recent price history on Wolf, you have a big-ass gap right here on your 4-hour chart, and it's like, price didn't give a fuck about that. Like, it just kept running. Like, it said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna gap up again. So, I mean, we don't have to fucking fill this gap. Like, for now, this shit is fucking bullish. If you see $13 break, all right, fine, yeah, gap fill. So, that's your condition. For right now, we're bullish. If you see 13 bucks broken on the 4-hour chart, all right, target gap. All right, target gap then. All right, hope that's clear. Lucid, let's fucking go. Damn, this chart is brutal. This chart is brutal. I'm going to be real with you. I was bullish on Lucid because you were in a macro downtrend and then you started making higher lows. Now, what happened with this chart is that, I don't know if people know this or not, but right here, when you saw that gap, they announced dilution news. They diluted the living shit out of their stock. I actually have no idea why they did that, because structurally, actually, we were looking like decently bullish, you know, for like a long-term trend. And then they just like, you know what, we're going to dilute the hell out of our stock. We had this huge drop in price that you can see here. So that was pretty brutal. This thing looks bad. I'm going to be real with you. But it could be a potential for a, you know, reversal play up into this gap. Because this gap is all the way at 325, price is sitting at 221. So for now, I wouldn't even touch this thing unless price. Maybe next support level would be down at $2. So I might even try a long if we do happen to go that low. Because that's pretty damn low. That's pretty damn low. You have support at that $2 zone, right? If price is able to get back up into this zone at 242 and break resistance at that 242 level, I might get interested in it again. You do have support at 222, but right now we're using it as resistance on the 4-hour chart, which is kind of telling me, you know, price literally fucking tomorrow, if it cannot get above that $223 level, this might even head back down to $2. So for now, I'm not extremely interested in this chart because it's kind of dangerous. It's kind of dangerous longing here. Right now, it still does look bearish. I mean, it does. I mean, you might be able to take a long at $2, but, you know, because, you know, if we go to our weekly chart, I mean, we're at all-time lows. We are at all-time lows on the weekly chart, man. Like, this thing is brutal. Let's go to our daily. Yeah, I mean, this thing is absolutely brutal. $2, 206. 206 is your next support. But I would not touch this thing. I mean, I might touch it. If we can get a huge reversion like this, find support at 270, I might touch it. But for now, this thing looks brutal. This thing looks like it's heading for $2, maybe even lower at 180. So for now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not even touching Lucid. I'm not even touching it. Because, you know, hey, if we get a super nasty reversion on it, I mean, I don't care. If we get above 270, all right, we have some resemblance of support. Like, we have some resemblance of support at 270. But for now, this chart looks brutal. I mean, you're at all-time lows. But again, that could be an opportunity, right? That could be an opportunity. So you have support at $2 and 180. $2 and 180. If we can reclaim 270, all right, I might get interested in it again. I'll make another update video. But for now, this shit looks pretty brutal. I'm gonna be real with you. Shit looks pretty brutal. All right, we have Tesla. I have no idea how long this video is. This thing is probably long as shit. I should have chopped this video up into several parts, but whatever. Let's get through it. Okay, Tesla finding support. I could see something like this happening with Tesla, coming up to 260 and then going into gap fill. But you do have support all the way down into 235. 235 and 242. So you have 242 and 235. And then of course we have, you know, the gap fill that, you know, comes all the way down to, let's look at the gap fill on the daily. Holy shit, that's a pretty big fucking gap. Yeah, you're coming down. Yeah, you're coming down to fill that gap. You got a rejection at your daily point of control at 256. So actually on the daily it does look pretty bearish, if I'm being honest with you. So you have resistance at 249. We're currently at 248. So yeah, if tomorrow candle opens up a little low, you come up and hit that 250 mark, your next support will be 233 and then all the way down to gap. So honestly, in Tesla, I would be targeting this gap fill. I think it's kind of, I would do it. Now, resistance is 249. That's 249 to 250. Now, when this next daily candle populates, right? When this next daily candle populates, because the 4 hour doesn't necessarily look that bearish. Doesn't necessarily look that bearish. If you see that 249 as resistance, let me pull up this path target. So if we, like this next 4 hour thing populates and we can get above that 249, and then we come down to test 242 and that breaks, you're going down to 232. If that breaks, yeah, you're just straight up gap filling at that point. You're just straight up gap filling. But if on the daily, so this would be the scenario that plays out if you can't reclaim 250. If you can reclaim 250, then you will get a rejection at 258 to 264 and then dump. So either way, I'm pretty bearish. Either way, I think that you do fill this gap on Tesla. So I would keep an eye out for those levels. And I'll update in the Discord, you know, what I'm thinking. If you just at me, because things do change. You know, when I make these videos on, you know, a Saturday night, you know, things change. Like as soon as market opens, you know, you can have new ideas. You can have new, you know, kind of setups present themselves. Just for example, with the DJT, I made a bearish video on the DJT stock in my previous video, but I made updates in the Discord because it kind of went above what I initially thought and hit, you know, the level of, it hit all the way up to 54 bucks. I didn't think it was actually going to go all the way to 54, but when it did, I was still bearish as fuck on it, and I updated it in the Discord. And so, you know, things do change, right? Things do change. And so, you know, this is a kind of our plan for now, but I will, you know, provide updates in the Discord. Now, we're looking at Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm still bearish. I mean, I kind of posted a meme on x.com. I posted a meme on x.com about a double top because I was like, you know, imagine this is just a big ass double top here, and then we just, you know, dump because, you know, I am still bearish on Bitcoin. I was having a little fun with that, but it actually could happen. I mean, as brutal as that sounds, I mean, it actually could happen because this move was mostly driven by perpetuals. I mean, by futures trading. I mean, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. That's just what it was, right? It was people getting squeezed. It was liquidity getting hidden. You know, millions of dollars, millions upon millions of dollars were stuck up here, and then those were just liquidated, man. So that's essentially what was kind of driving this move up, and it kind of. Okay, so we created this bearish harmonic, right? So that kind of worked out for us. I mean, the target for this harmonic would even be, originally we had our target here, and we saw that dump. Obviously, price extended a bit more further to this, you know, 1.618 extension. So that's, you know, perfectly fine that we did get a rejection at that $74,000. This was a pretty crazy run. This was a pretty crazy run in price, but So right now we're at 68,000. Holy, that must have just happened while I was making this video. Yeah, this must have just happened while I was just making this video. But so our next support level will be at 67,850. So that'll be our next support level. So price actually got a rejection at our value area high that was sitting at 69,600. That's where we got that huge rejection, right? We kind of created this pennant pattern here, got a rejection at our value area high level, boom, fucking dumped. And then we had support. We did have support at 68,250, but that actually just broke while I'm making this video. So you can come down right here to 67,832. So that'll be your next support zone for Bitcoin. If this breaks, you have support at 66,000. Boom, you have support at 63,000. Then ultimately you have support at $59,000. So those are your support levels for Bitcoin. Now, if I'll be inclined to say if $59,000 breaks, you know, you're targeting this low put in at 52,000. If that breaks, this thing is absolutely cooked, and that idea that we've been talking about for so long will actually play out. Now, that is a big drop down. So we have a lot of work to do. Bears have a lot of work to do, right? This is not bearish yet. Now, your next major level of support will be at $63,000. That will be your next major level of support on Bitcoin. Will be at $63,000. Your next major support level will be at $59,000. Now, if these two are broken, I will be very bearish. I will become very, very, very bearish below those levels. So those are our two main levels. Also, another thing is that on our daily chart, you have created this nasty uptrend that can be broken. You created this nasty uptrend in price here. You know, that's just kind of asking to get broken here. Let's make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. Let's make it a 4-point. We created this very nasty uptrend. I mean, if that uptrend breaks on our daily to weekly chart, you could get a brutal drop down. So I don't really like the way price shot up so fast, because you can see multiple times here we create this really sharp uptrend. Is, I guess the way to say it is, it's a really sharp uptrend drop, really sharp uptrend drop, really sharp uptrend drop, and then we have this bigger uptrend that's very sharp in and of itself. It's just like this one, right? You have this really sharp uptrend in price and then a brutal drop down. And so the way that price is kind of building itself like this, you know, where you have this very inclined uptrend, I don't like it. And that's probably why you're pulling back right now. And so this kind of invites this kind of brutal drop to the downside. So again, we do have support at that $63,000 level as our next kind of major level in price. All right, so that's Bitcoin. XRP. Yeah, XRP is dumping as well. XRP lost its daily 200 SMA as well. We got a rejection from its value area low at that 52 cent mark. So this thing has support all the way down to 46 cents. So you can see, right? You can see the XRP idea, guys, is that we are just in a huge pennant. We are in a huge pennant. And we just have a huge bear flag in price. So this is the whole deal, is that a Bitcoin really does dump. I mean, from this level, XRP is fucking cooked, bro. It is cooked, which is a good thing for us because we are going to buy that dip. We are going to buy that dip. So honestly, you should be praying for a Bitcoin dump at this point. You should want a Bitcoin dump because that just invites us to get a major discount. A major discount. Because guys, think about it. If Bitcoin, let's just say Bitcoin did go to $100,000 from this level. What is that? $30,000 bucks. So what you like? You didn't even make 50%. You didn't even make 50% on that trade. So, like, guys, we want a discount. Like, we want a double top here. Like, we want price to come down for us, and we want to get that nasty discount. And honestly, it's kind of looking like that's going to happen for us. So just be eyeing our next level of 63,000. If that happens, XRP is cooked. We're going to get a massive discount on both. We're just going to get a massive discount on crypto in general. All right, let's pull up Holo. This thing is actually looking pretty interesting. We are on the 1 hour chart. We found support at our point of control at 311. And we're actually breaking resistance at 317. So on the one hour, this actually looks pretty interesting because you were able to shoot up, retest value area low, break your point of control. If we go to our 4 hour chart, we hit our value area low here and then popped. So our next resistance will be that 330 area. This thing could get extremely interesting. Am I saying I'm extremely bullish on it? I don't know. This stock is kind of interesting because you do have these kind of random pops that immediately die, but they are huge. They are huge pops. You see this very large downtrend in price. And so let's just take a very simple kind of like trend line here, something like this. So this would kind of be interesting if price is able to shoot up from our value area low, break this. You have resistance at 530, resistance at 1235. See what I mean? This is a 4 hour chart, and it's at $3 now, and you kind of have that $12 level in your crosshairs, right? So I would first target 530. Then $12, then value area high at $21. And that's a crazy run. And we're on the 4 hour chart. So this could potentially have a very, very crazy run. So I would be looking at, let me shoot back down to the 1 hour and be looking at, support levels. Support levels will be at 310 and 280. 310 and 280 are support levels for the stock. And then obviously we just went over potential upside for Holo, which is kind of crazy. So this stock does have a lot of potential. It really does. It really does. All right, guys, we went over a ton of information. If you have any questions, just come to the Discord. It'll be pinned in the comments. You can add me on X and I'll try to get to you. But yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, just follow up with me in the Discord and we can chat. So, hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Appreciate every single one of you guys. We're over 1,000 freaking subs. That's amazing. It's freaking amazing. Appreciate it. So, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to join the Discord. And, have a great Sunday. And I'll be seeing you guys. And we'll make some fire trades next week. Let's go, boys. All right, I'll see you.